Hello, and welcome to the Passive Income with Content channel. Today we're going to be talking about 5 ways to make more with your printables. And we've been talking about printables a lot here lately. One sheet pieces of content where you can make profits, you could make money, you can make recurring income, you could make passive income with your content, which is the main topic of what we talk about on this channel. So before I forget, make sure you subscribe because you don't want to ever miss an episode, because you might miss something crucial that we talk about that could add to your passive income with content. So as always, when we talk about the topic of printables, kind of easy how-to pieces of content that you can create to sell, this is for you if you want to make a simple entry point to making money, if you want something that's not going to take you a lot of time, right? Effort and energy. You want something passive. Maybe you want something creative. We talk about that a lot here. You can use free tools. You can use paid tools, whatever floats your boat. And of course, when we talk about one-page pieces of content, even though that's kind of the topic of a lot of these videos, you can relate to them to other forms of marketing online. So if you want to do something bigger, which we'll talk about here actually today in this video, the same things kind of apply. You just need to make small adjustments. So that's why we talk about lifelong skills, so that you can make even more money ongoing. So let's get into the 5 ways to make more with your printable. So in general, if you sell a printable, then maybe you're making however much you charge for that printable, right? Whatever it is. Maybe it's $2, maybe it's $4, maybe it's $10, maybe it's $100. I don't know. But how do you either grow that or get more bang for your buck? All right. So that's the topic today. So let's get into my very first suggestion, which is number 1, and that's branding. All right. So this is a printable that I recently created, the picture on the screen, and I didn't do too much branding here. The branding that I did do is my website, which you can decide where you're going to point people to go to when you want them to see more stuff that you have, right? So that's the whole point. Always talk about this, and that's cross promotion. So if you're giving something for people to print out, you want to bring them back online. If you're online, you want to give them things that bring them offline. So they have you every which way. That's the point. So you want to, you don't want to be like anonymous on there where people can't find the rest of your information. Number 2 is additional training. So again, this is the printable that I created, and it's the Entrepreneur's Guide to Surviving Quarantine. And you can see each letter of the word quarantine is a tip for entrepreneurs. But if you didn't get the training behind printable, then it might not make 100% sense to you. I mean, maybe you could kind of assume or, infer, but without the training that I gave in my Instructables product, then you're not going to know the whole story, right? So this is a good example of coupling a printable with additional training that people can get for you, perhaps another product, perhaps a video, whatever it is. So you always and I talk about this in other trainings, but you always want to kind of point people to other things that you're doing online. Number 3 is a bundle. So perhaps you make 1 printable today, but by next week you're selling 5 printables or 10 printables, depending on how much action that you take. Then you can take those 10 printables and actually bundle them together and maybe have a special rate, or just again get more bang for your buck, because now instead of making the price that you would make with just selling 1 printable, now you're making more because you're giving more of your printables away. All right. So that's something that you can think about, is how to bundle your stuff together so you can make more money. Number 4 is a bonus. So you can offer bonuses with basically anything that you sell. So again, that bonus could be more printables, more training, video instruction. If you buy this printable, you get the video instruction free. All you need to to do is go to this website and opt in, and then go ahead and lead them to whatever else you want them to lead. Because the point is that you want to incentivize people to buy your stuff. So what can you do? What extra can you add? Your whatever it is you're selling, in this case it's a printable, is something additional that they can get from you that makes it an even better deal for them. If you like this video so far, please go ahead and subscribe to my channel so you never miss a video. And then last but not least, number 5, I put this as number 5 because it's kind of bigger, right? So it is the next level. Right? So now it's not just a one sheet type of thing, but it's an ebook or a course that you put together, right? So again, leading people, this is a little bit of a taste of what I teach or what I give out, but here's something bigger, course for ebooks and courses and things like that. You can charge a bit more for that. Okay, so that's like the next level, and that's stuff that I teach in my Tiny Content Giant Profits product, right? So this is kind of how this all fits together under the passive income with content umbrella, right? So you have your tiniest amount of content, which is 1 page, to an even bigger product like an ebook or an e-course or whatever it is. Maybe it's a workbook or a worksheet or an actual book, and that's, you know, a little bit more work, but you're making a little bit more money. Okay, so that's the whole point here. So just to kind of recap, we've got branding, we've got additional training, we got bundle, we got bonuses, and then ebooks and courses. If you have any other ideas on how you could add more value to your printables and make more money, please go ahead and leave a comment, whether you're here live or on the replay on YouTube or Instagram, because I would love to hear your ideas. These are just the first 5 that I thought about, and this is exactly what I do in my business. And I've mentioned a couple products here. I have Instructables, I have my Tiny Content Giant Profits product. Here we have the Passive Printables product, which is a great place to start if you've never done printables before. That's at debdrum.com/passive printables. It's a great place to kind of start, get your feet wet, and get the full picture of everything that you might need when it comes to creating these printables and actually creating a business that makes passive income, just like my friend Michelle here, where she's made $60,000 on Etsy selling printables. So I have a bonus with this product. In my description, you'll find the other links to the other products, but for this one in particular, I show you how to do printables with PowerPoint. Michelle does it a little bit different, but I say if you know one, you know them all. So my thing is PowerPoint. I give you printable ideas for today, what's working right now, where to get the best graphics. Graphics are killer and very, very important for this process. More free design ideas, and you're actually getting my bonus instantly. It's ready right now if you get into passive printables, which is at debdrum.com/passive printables. Let's see, Jim says, does one sheet need a cover? Again, it's nice to kind of have some branding if you can, but it doesn't necessarily need a cover. And when you're actually going to sell your printables, you're going to need some form of artwork. We're actually going to be talking about that in next week's live session for Instructables. That's at debdrum.com/Instructables. That's a deal that I had last week. The first live session was this week. The replay is already in the members area. And next week, we're going to be talking about the actual selling and putting everything together when it comes to how to actually sell your printable. Okay, so that's going to be fun. This week was ideas and kind of how to, and I actually showed you how to put that quarantine printable together. And I talked about how entrepreneurs can use this time and survive this time of the hardship that we have going on in the world right now. Kind of did like a double whammy training there, which was really, really fun. Yeah, companion products, that's kind of like a workbook type of thing, or a companion ebook can be, or a companion workbook, or companion interactive workbook, or a companion printable, right? You can have actually several different instructions or exercises and create one at a time. And then you can bundle that together at a later time too. That's a really good idea. Pam says, how often would you recommend doing printables? Once a week, once a day? That's up to you. If I was starting out, I would literally have a schedule that I did, 10 a day. But if I wanted to start creating assets, that's what I would do. Vivian says, I have an ebook with exercises. Can I make a workbook with a little explanation with this exercise? Yeah, that's a great example. So just to kind of differentiate between a printable and a workbook, a workbook can be a printable, but a printable can't be a workbook, right? So a printable is like a piece of a workbook, but if you wanted to make more of a workbook, you'd make an actual book. And I've made books, if you check out some of my past episodes, I've made entire books with one exercise, which is very effective because if you have one exercise that people do maybe every day or every week or however many, that's a great way to make a book. So that's why I said maybe you do a printable every single day, and at the end of 10 days, you have a workbook, right? And the minimum amount of pages you need for a workbook, at least for KDP, I think is 24 pages, 24 or 26. So, yeah, and Pam, that's one of the strategies that we're going to be talking about next week is like how often, like I never say just stop at one, right? So to the places where you need to be online, especially if you're a beginner, by just doing one thing. You need to kind of constantly keep creating. All right, have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye.